going to be the quarterfinal, season 2, episode 13. Two big teams of this championship, ZDR Drone Racing versus the Pondicherry Pelicans. Going to play it hard on the 15th of August, our Independence Day, and what a wonderful occasion. We wish you a very, very happy Independence Day, by the way. And joining on the expert panel from Bangalore is Rathi FPB. Welcome, Rathi, and a happy Independence Day to you as well.
Happy Independence Day to everyone who's watching right now, and I think this is going to be a fun race. Seeing the Pelicans, who are pretty much beginners, and one of the leading leaderboard teams, which is the ZDR or Drone Racing team. So I'm hoping for a very fun race. I think this is a very good opening to the knockout rounds. Again, one team here will be knocked out, and the other team will be moving to the semifinals or the finals.
To the semifinals. Yeah. Right. So this is the round of 8 quarterfinals. After this, there'll be round of 4
this should be fun.
Semis. And then, so this is the knockout. One of these teams is going to have a berth into the semifinals. So it's very, very interesting. So with the blessings of our sponsors, Beta FPV, thank you very much. One Martian Way, IRC, GetTBS.in, our official sponsor, quadcopters, and Zine Drone Racing. You are seeing on your screen right now the players practicing from both the sides. The players in red are Zine Drone Racing. And let me tell you right away that we are a player short from the Zine Drone Racing team because there was a natural disaster, looks like, at near the place of Vishal. So he wasn't able to make it, although he had set a time before 8 p.m. And there was no replacement available as well. And so we are 3 against 2 right now with the Pelicans, captained by Watson, and then wingman by Flying Slayer, and finally Sanji DS. Devnath is going to captain his team of Zine Drone Racing with the able features of logic out here. And this is the test race going on right now, a practiced one. Let's go right into the pit area and start the race. But before that, a quick announcement here. As you know, round number 1 to 9 has always been scored at 1 point each. So it's going to be 3 points total for each of the rounds 1 to 9. But round number 10, we usually do only 3 points, but this time it is going to be a total of 8 points. So that is going to be distributed in 5 points for the first position, and 3 points into the second position. So that's the major change, and that's going to keep the battle going up till till the edge. And let's go now into the pit area and start the quarterfinal. All right, folks. We'll start the quarterfinals now. Get ready on the podium, and we will start the race now in less than 5. Let's see and how Watson is going to pick up this one on the race. It's a dynamic weather track, a beautiful one, looking gorgeous in the trails of these awesome pilots. And let's take a look.
So let's start the race, Karan. I think we are ready for a very exciting one.
Yep, the race has started already.
What the hell just happened? Yeah, you guys are racing.
Right. Rathi, can you hear me right now, or is there a delay? Looks like we have some delay on Rathi's side. So maybe if he can rejoin the server. And meanwhile, Devnath is dominating. So let's take a look at Devnath's path right now. Meanwhile, our viewers can get acquainted with the track.
There is a little bit of a delay in the voice, I think, Karan, but I don't think it should be too much of an issue. I think I can take over the commentary for a bit. Right now, we see that Devnath has pretty much stolen the lead, with Logic just trailing right behind him. Flying Slayer quite a bit back. I think he had a bit of a crash in the start, and it looks like even Watson did have a crash. But I think the I think we've seen in the past that Flying Slayer and Watson have always been very consistent with their point scoring skills. So here we also see that Sanjay DS is now completing his second lap, which just kind of really questions the kind of flying that was here with a 209.315. Let's see how close is this number.
And it looks like there is an
Like, has his captain done something a little strange and like put himself in second place and put Flying Slayer at third place, coming in quite behind that of Sanji DS, just to give Sanji DS against the number one. And I think Devnath is probably going to score all the points, and they didn't expect Logic to be this fast, and that is costing them. So here we see that Sanji DS has still not finished the race, but
All right. So by default over here, I think,
is this what it is? Is Sanji DS racing against Devnath, or who is he racing against at the moment?
yeah, we'll have to figure that out. I don't have an idea if so. If you can get an update from either Vatsan or Devnath for what was the qualifying. So we'll wait for an update because we want to.
So before we started these heats, we saw that Sanji DS was actually leading. So I think Devnath is being paired with Sanji DS, Logic with Watson, and Airtoast would have been with Flying Slayer. But I don't think that is the case because Airtoast is not here. So I think Devnath and Sanji DS are competing against each other. Watson and Logic are competing with each other, and I think Flying Slayer is pretty much going to score all the points in this round because of the absence of Airtoast. Sadly enough, Airtoast couldn't join us because of the natural disaster at his place. So
Okay.
I think it's time up, Karan, and we can start the next race.
Right. So we'll just record this. There is a slight change of the order. So just making that change so that the view is clear and recording the
Again,
points.
Karan, Logic is at one. Devnath
Correct. Logic at one, Devnath at one, and
is
Flying
against
Slayer.
Devnath, and Watson will be going up against Logic.
Correct, yeah. So right now, as it stands, if you look at the scoreboard, it's Devnath 1 point because he scored against Sanjay DS, and Flying Slayer got the point against Airtoast, and then Logic got the point against Vatsan. So it's 2 points to one in the favor of team ZDR. So ZDR is doing pretty well, but they have to recover a huge gap of that 10 points that has been left over in between. So let's start with the next one, guys, right away. And at the count of,
I think it's technically 9 points, isn't it?
right, let's count at the count of rest and five. Look at those pilots. We are seeing a beautiful kind of an evening out here, a night racing track almost, and Devnath again leading his way into lap number one. He is at gate number 24 right now, followed closely by Vatsan, and this is going to be a very interesting race between Vatsan and Devnath. Look at that. They are competing head to head. Vatsan a little bit behind.
I think Logic and Watson are having a very good race. As you can see, Logic is just a few gates behind Watson, just overtaking Watson right there. But Logic did have a small bit of a crash, and that's exactly why he lost a bit of time. But I think the competition between Watson and Logic would have been amazing. I think this is the kind of trickery that the captain was hoping for, because just before we started the race, we saw that Sanji DS had set the fastest time amongst the Pelicans, which is obviously a bogus timing that was been set by the Pelicans. So I see that Watson has actually done a huge, I mean, he's pretty much found a loophole in the system where he can actually compete with the people who are sitting at the lower half of the track. And because of this this sort of ingenious idea or a loophole, I think he thought he might get the edge against Logic. But Logic is far outpacing Watson at this point in time. by not too much, but it's just enough to make sure that Watson's plan actually did not really fall through. So Flying Slayer, who is now in the leaderboard sixth, was in the leaderboard sixth before starting the actual heat, cut off almost 100 seconds of his previous time, or 120 seconds of his previous time, showing that they Pelicans indeed used some sort of I would say they used some sort of trickery just to make sure that like they get the points that they need. But obviously today Airtos is not here. Otherwise, Airtos would have also been quite up there, and it would have been a little problematic even for the Pelicans, even after using these loopholes. So moving on, let's have the other race quickly, because I think the 30 seconds timer is up,
Yeah,
and Sanji
so
DS has still not finished the race.
hold on. Let's just score it up for the players. I'll just record 1 point for Flying Slayer all the way. That'll ease up some of the time. And then Logic against Vatsan. Logic won again. So it is the same story out here. 4 points. And
Karan, the last one will not be one. Um, Race 10 will still be zero, because race 10 will have the 3 points going to a single pilot.
right, so let's not do that right now. Right, okay, R10 should be 0 here. So this is the difference right now already as Devnath and his team come into the race. So they have to cover that 5 point gap in the next few races. So having said that, let's go ahead with round number 3 coming up in less than 5. And this time we will view straight into the eyes of Devnath, who has been an excellent leader all the way for his team in this championship. And look at that, the flow of the track pretty at an intermediate to advanced level. Any views, Rathi, about the track, the flow of the track as such?
I think it's actually a very good track. It's such a complicated track. I mean, it's pretty easy to get a grasp on, but also like some of the elements to get fast on is very difficult. And I actually really like this map because of the way the gates are really laid out, and how some of the turns are very tight, some of the turns are very technical, and it's just a very enjoyable track to just see and fly through as well. I think this is a very good like intermediate to a very a difficult level track. I think if you want to become real fast in a few of these elements, I mean, I would honestly be looking at flying this track for my upcoming days as a practice sort of. I would say like a benchmark for myself, because this is such a nice and clean track for me to practice all the different sort of flows that exist in an actual race. So this track again, it's actually very beautifully laid out. Position wise, we have Devnath just finishing the race right now. Logic very closely behind him. Flying Slayer, which is about 10 gates away from Logic. Yeah, he's obviously 10 gates away from Logic, and Logic as well finishing the race. Again, we see 2 points getting scored by the ZDR or Zion Drone Racing team, whereas Flying Slayer still scores consistently for his team because of the absence of Air Toast.
Correct, and I love that gate that's right at the top of that tree. It's a wonderful setting out there. That's and helps in the flow of the track. But now, okay, let's
Yeah, there
see.
are two of those gates, and what's amazing to see is that these pilots are using really good lines. I would say like their lines through these gates are really nice to see, because like they're not going with the conventional, okay, fine, you go line up to the gate and then you go through them. They're actually trying to do a few tricks, which is like a power loop through it, or like they're basically going into this gate blind, and just by remembering the muscle, the muscle memory and all sorts, and they can just flick the drone in such a way that they know that the drone is going to go to the gate. Okay, we see that Flying Slayer has finished. Watson has also finished. Sanji DS again not completing the race, and we can move on to the next race, because Sanji DS again finishing right now is inconsequential, as Devnath has already won this race.
Right. So the point difference getting lower and lower, 6 to 9. It is Devnath and his team catching back. Let's go at the count of less than 5, guys. Let's see what
Yeah.
Pelicans are able to do, because they haven't really opened it up officially right now. All the points have been in favor of Flying Slayer, and 9 points exactly if we are looking forward that way. And till now, all the 6 points have been taken by the ZDR team. So this round, I mean, I'm hoping that either Flying Slayer or Watsan, they take charge, because Vatsan needs to really get a hold of his play over here, because he's consistently losing against Logic. But look at that. That tough competition between him and Logic is about to be seen, I believe. Vatsan is somebody who comes from right behind one of these rounds. We have seen him time and time again that he does that. Usually by the third or the fourth round, he is well in his groove. And that's what we are seeing. Look at that. And then once he sits well with the entire track, he tries to really dominate. But right now, Logic really keeping it up at the tail, at his tail, not allowing Vatsan any room whatsoever, keeping at least a couple of gates of difference between him and Vatsan, while Devnath all the way in a record time to hit the finish line at lap number 3. That's been an impressive performance. Devnath's probably one of the best performance in this round, we can see. And let's see, I mean,
Flying
that.
Slayer just having a crash. Flying Slayer just has a crash and he has 100% prop damage, and it really does affect the flying. The 100% prop damage, I think anything beyond a 75% prop damage or a 75% prop damage really affects your timing and all sorts, because it's really jarring to fly a very shaky quad even on the simulator. Uh, as you can see, Sanji DS is still to complete his third lap. I mean, he hasn't entered third lap even once till now. And we see that Flying Slayer has finished. Again, it becomes inconsequential if Sanji DS does finish this race or not, because Devnath and Logic have again consistently scored for their team. So again, we see that the point deficit that Air Toast has left ZDR with is really closing up. The difference of time between IDRL Logic and Watson is quite far, and because of this, we see that Watson is not really the tactic Watson used in the start of this race is not really helping him out as much as he thought it could. So now I think we can move on to the next race, and let's continue from there.
All right, round number 5 before halftime coming up right in front of you at less than 5. Let's take a slightly different angle if we can see these pilots from the side. That's how they are looking. It's a gorgeous track. I mean, I love the flow. Everything is looking quite bright out here. And Logic, look at that. He is the one who is dominating right now. Devnath falling slightly behind
I
shouldn't be a
think
concern.
I think Devnath just started off late as a show-off sort of a tactic, because he just wants to show and everybody in the field like, oh, guess what? Like even if I'm slow or something like that, I can just come from behind, race you guys, and like get it done with. So it just like try to show the captain of Pelicans that even though they did try a loophole in the tactic, that it just does not work to their favor. But right now, as you can see, Watson is ahead of Logic, but Logic catching up, Logic passing Watson, and Devnath very close behind to Watson as well. I think Devnath will overtake Watson now, and he does. This is amazing racing, and Watson just falling a little short. You can just see,
Oh, he's come back
you
now.
could at least see the, yeah, I think Devnath did have a small crash. I think we'll now soon see Devnath's red drone just about coming in front of Watson. But right now we can see that Watson does see a little bit of a speck of, I would say, Logic, but now crashing with a 25% prop damage, and Devnath just passing him by. We just saw a glimpse of Devnath passing him by. Watson got a 50% prop damage, and he looks like he has really scuffed this performance. He could have
Wow.
had a taste of points, but I guess it's not meant to be. And right now he is just done, and he is still 5 seconds behind Devnath, who did take off late. Devnath and Logic both scoring for their team. Flying Slayer just about finishing his laps as well. And we see that Sanji DS has not has still not even tried to enter the third lap.
Wow, what a brilliant take from behind. Devnath started slow, and luckily Vatsan crashed in the lap number three. That gave Devnath a complete opportunity to pounce it at position number two. And Vatsan will be furious about it. Just needed to hang in there for a few seconds, and he could have been taken his first point against Devnath. But that was not to be, as the story till halftime right now stands at a 1 point difference with the Pelicans now at 9 points against ZDR's 10 points. So ZDR is 1 point ahead of the Pelicans, and all the 10 points right now, till now, have gone in favor of the ZDR team, the actual points if you calculate. And that is something that the Pelicans will be really, really wanting to re-strategize in this 1 minute of break time that they'll be getting for halftime. And we'll be quickly summarizing Rati so
Devnath, please
far.
check DMs.
So Rati, so far
Yeah,
it
Karan,
looks
I'm
like
sorry.
the Pelicans are having a tough time out here.
Yes, they are because I think like they did try a lot of things on like a lot of things on their books, and I think this is a very brilliant strategy from their team captain Watson to like undermine their timing to like just show up and win the race. But I think going up against ZDR is no cup of tea, and it just proves that it just shows that I think even after flying for however long they are flying and the amount of practice we saw that they were putting in, and the kind of breeze that they went through with the TVR at the second heat, which was I think the week 12 race. It looked like there was no competition for the Pondicherry Pelicans. I think they were really up there, and like their practice and everything just shows. And right now, even Vatsan keeping up with Logic just shows the amount of advancement that they've had. As a beginner, I think it is one of the strongest, I would say, like strongest simulator comebacks that I've ever seen, and it just looks amazing to have. I think both you and me, Karan, we both look forward to these guys flying in real life races as well. I think we are very excited to see them in real life action when the pandemic does like slow down and allow us to start in real life racing again.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm even looking forward to seeing some of these guys on the Chai and Prop show in the meantime. And
Oh,
do keep us updated on that one. When is the next one coming up and things like that.
yes, of course. So again, my co-host Devnath has been doing a lot of new things in his life at the moment, and because of which I think the delays keep continuing and the delays keep piling. It was supposed to be a weekly show, but I think now it's becoming a monthly show. But hopefully, we can get back on track and like we can sort out all the sort of problems the kind of priorities we have in our life. I think a lot of things have been changing for myself as well, like with the college, with my college starting and all sorts. So I think once we have all these things in balance, we can start pursuing Chai and Props again as seriously as we were like for the first episode. So hopefully that happens. Again, I think next episode, I think a lot of people have already suggested it. And yes, we have heard you guys. We are getting none other than the host of this race, Karan, to come up and be starting on our podcast for the next podcast. That is.
Yeah, definitely did not expect it. It was a surprise package for me. But, yeah, the pilots, as you said, Rathi, Devnath, yourself, a lot of things on your plate, and definitely a lot of things going on. So, having said that, let's go ahead post halftime with a good break for the pilots given and proceed straight away to round number six for the takeoff in less than five. Tuning into the back angle out here following Devnath. Vatsan is off the shelves right away. And let's see where he is exactly in the racetrack. Vatsan really has to pedal it away, and they
Watson's trying to just Watson's trying to just Watson's just trying to extend his lead, but like Devnath and Logic both started a little late. I think Devnath did have a small little bit of a delay and a late start. But yeah, I mean, you can see that Devnath has pretty much passed Watson at this point in time. Devnath passing Watson right now. And Watson crashing, seeing Devnath and Logic's red drones both coming in front of him. Flying Slayer hot on the tail of Logic, very close by to Logic. And he is aiming in a way that he can get Logic to go a little bit behind him. So, I mean, Flying Slayer doesn't really have competition because he is racing for pretty much no points whatsoever. I mean, he doesn't have a competition this race because of where he stands, and this just means that he is going to get the point no matter what. But Watson is really where it counts, and Watson looking forward to overtake Logic from wherever he can. Otherwise, Watson is going to lose out on quite a few points just because of Logic being as good as he is. And you can see Logic doing a brilliant job. Devnath just completing the race with a 1 minute 24 seconds, 0.19 milliseconds. Follow closely behind Logic, who is coming in and finishing the race right about now. And he finishes at a 1:34.934. So you can see that there's a 10-second difference. I think Logic did have a few crashes or something like that. But I think Devnath is just like giving it his all at this point in time because he does not want to even lose a bit of points. But and he also is carrying his wingman, who is Logic, through the race because he doesn't want Logic to come behind Watson and lose any precious points because they've already had a huge loss in points because of Air Toast's absence. Now we can see that all five of the pilots are almost finishing the race.
Right.
Sanji DS looks like he will enter his third lap this race, but I mean, again, it is inconsequential, and Sanji DS is not going to score a point compared to that of Devnath.
Right, and a huge time difference there between Vatsan and Logic. Vatsan did make quite a few errors out there, and he was right up there at position 1 and 2 till lap number 2, and then something really went wrong out there. So I think he's trying to overspeed a little bit. He should go a little bit more cautiously, and the next 3 rounds at least. The Pelicans need a rescue out here because they need at least 3 points on their table to level it up with the ZDR team, and then anything can happen in the final round. But they need a chance in the next 3 rounds. So let's see what happens in round number 7. And Vatsan is always the first to kick off, so I'm anticipating that he is going to be at position 1. This time, Devnath, however, and look at that competition between Devnath and Vatsan.
Yeah. There is real difficult competition between Watson and Logic, but Watson just losing it a bit. Watson having almost 75% prop damage, which I have said does affect your flying quite a bit, and it does not let you take the lines that you're supposed to, and it's really difficult and really jarring for you to fly with 75% prop damage. So he is looking forward for the recharge gate that's right across him, and as soon as he gets the recharge gate, he will be charged back up and with a brand new drone, and he will be flying really quickly again. But is this enough? We see that Flying Slayer is ahead of Watson by just about a gate, and you can see Watson, Flying Slayer's white colored drone just about there, and we can see that Watson has overtaken Flying Slayer, but they are in still very close competition to each other.
Right, so it has to be across the teams. There's no point competing amongst the players of the same team out here. They should be working together and defeat out the opponents. But Logic and Devnath so solid out here. Logic is definitely on his best play tonight, and you can see his lines are so very clean. He's doing that Jacob's
Watson
ladder.
getting 75% prop damage again. Him missing a small little gate, and again he is I think he is crumbling under pressure at this point in time, and again 75% prop damage, you cannot fly the way you were flying usually, and that is costing him quite a bit of time. I'm sorry to have cut you off, but like it seems like Watson's race has turned for the worst, and this is really affecting his performance by quite a bit, and we see that Flying Slayer is almost about to finish. Flying Slayer finished about 8 seconds ahead of Watson, and looks like even this race has concluded with the 2 points going to ZDR Racing, 1 point going to Flying Slayer as usual.
Right, and Vatsan seems to now consistently be doing about 1 minute 50 seconds, and that's a huge, huge difference between him and Logic, 20 seconds. And Vatsan, they really need a rescue now because right now, as the situation stands, this again has been the same story up till now. You see that. Logic and Devnath. You see the top table out here on your lower left of the scorecard. It is almost exactly the same as it has been out here. It is exactly the same for the teams at DR, and both Devnath and Logic have put up a fine, fine, consistent performance, not giving any chance away to Sanji DS or Vatsan. And now let's go ahead with round number 8 at the points now falling in the favor of ZDR quite a bit in 14-9, the count of less than 5. Superb takeoff. All of them take off really well, but it's really important to see now. Devnath, you can see Devnath's tail from the FPV view of Vatsan. And Vatsan, as the captain, having undergone a huge amount of pressure already, will want to stay cool in this race, will not to commit too many errors as he has been usually doing it. You see Logic and Vatsan quite close now, and Vatsan seems to be really challenging it up. Taking it up to Logic right now. Vatsan right now taking it up. He is at position number 2 now. And oh my god, and Logic has again taken Vatsan out of the game out here, but just away. Look at that. But it's a very, very tough competition. Very close call. Vatsan, I think, hit a spot out there. Rathi looks like some error happened, but still. I don't know what's going to be the end result of this because Logic is always like
For
he's.
some reason, Flying Slayer isn't really moving. I think he has a connection blackout or something like that. But so Karan, what happens if Flying Slayer does not finish the race? What happens to the points then?
Oh no, they do not score any point. So Flying Slayer automatically. Well, I mean,
If Flying Slayer
but
does,
he's
I mean, there is no competition in terms of air tours or anything like that. But what happens when both the pilots have a connection issue and they do not take off? I mean, leave the takeoff part, they do not finish a race. Is the points still awarded to the person who started the race or not?
the points are awarded to the person who went furthest in the track. So this obviously well beyond the first gate
Never
lines.
mind then. I think Flying Slayer has started racing again.
All
Flying
right.
Slayer just doesn't really seem to want to race actually, and like I think that's some kind of like that's just not the right kind of attitude to have towards a race. I think if you are racing, you should aim to complete a race, and this kind of is insulting because even we see that Sanji DS has stopped flying, and if you guys don't actually finish a race, guys, this is like a real like it's really not right.
Yeah. So there are ethical repercussions to this, definitely. Usually we don't see players doing that. So at least we encourage you to complete your race. No matter what the situation is, you will still be able to get some confidence going. And right now, the other team is just practicing in the meantime.
So while we wait for Flying Slayer to finish the race, whenever he feels, I mean, Flying Slayer to whenever he feels like finishing the race, I'll go to the YouTube comments. I think Aman wanted me to give an honest opinion about the new, I mean, the new races that are, I mean, the new race frames that are coming up, that are in the market, like the Transala or something like that,
Tarantula,
and
yeah.
Eagle Eye as well. But I think this is not the first Indian frame, to be very honest. I think we know Pravesh from Team Bangalore has always been the first person to have really made his own frame and gotten it cut and everything such as that. So I think it takes a lot for you to design a frame and all sorts, but then again, you have to actually I mean, you have to give it to the right people to test. I think Pravesh was always one of the best people to have. I think one of the best people to have sort of come up with frames because we see that he has a lot of experience when it comes to actual flying, and his designs actually work. I fly one of his frames that was made about 3 years ago or something like that, called the Fucker, and it has been working for me flawlessly from the day I got it. And that just goes to show that with the right kind of people testing your drones as well, you getting a good feedback of the drone, it'll help you by quite a bit. I think a lot of people in India have designed a frame. I think one of them was Shabir Noor or
Yeah.
Gulzar FPV, and he didn't really see quite a lot of success because his design did not match up to that of Pravesh's frames, and Pravesh getting a huge amount of like success designing a lot of the good frames that the top pilots in India used to use up till I think a year and a half ago, where Pravesh did stop flying and innovating. So, in my honest opinion, like, please do give the frames out to people who actually fly, and do not tell us that, oh, it has been given to the right people and you don't need to be worried about it. At least give us the details of who is testing your drone out, because that is whom we base our information out of. I think it is kind of absurd if you give it to a beginner and tell him, okay, you know what, go and crash the drone and see how it works out, because he is not really racing, and the real test of the drone is going to be when you do race it. And if you aren't giving it to the top racing pilots or the people who can actually give you a good opinion about your frame and work its quirks out, I think your frame is not going to be flown as much as you think. And if you are not open to opinions, then I think your drone, I mean, it will not see the, I mean, no pilot would like to fly it and wouldn't see the kind of success that you'd want it to see. Okay, fine. Sanji DS finishing his race as well. So I think we can move on to the next race quite
Yeah,
quickly now.
I had some bit to say, but let's keep that for later. And now round number 9 is going to commence at 16 is to 9 points at the count of less than 5. Let's see what happens. Watson this time at position 2. Devnath really taking off quickly as well now. Seems to have no interest whatsoever in really wasting any time anymore. He wants to have this competition completed and under his belt and get into the semis.
I think Devnath's flying is pretty flawless, and I think he is taking it slow, giving Logic. I mean, he wants Logic to get ahead of him. I think he play a little bit of mind games with Watson as such, whereas like where he can put pressure on Watson from like behind Watson and forcing Watson to crash as well. So I think Devnath is trying to use that sort of. I mean, he's trying to use that trick up his sleeve, but at the moment we see that Logic is still a little behind Devnath, and I think Devnath is getting anxious and trusts his teammate, whereas his teammate is very close to Watson as such, and they're pretty much 2 or 3 gates behind each other. Watson just crashing, I think,
Yeah.
and because of which he loses precious amount of time to Logic.
Right, just at the that tree gate out there, he was doing pretty well actually. He was exactly at the same gate, and then he made an error that costed him about 5 to 6 gates as he stands right now. And that's pretty late in this part of the track because usually when you reach gate number 32, you are almost done, and that's what we see with Logic easily completing at position number 2. Watson and the rest of the boys from the Pelicans having been kept hungry for a long time.
I guess that as well. So, Karan, you had something to say if I'm not wrong.
Oh yeah, I would have. I wanted to make a quick comment. I mean, mean, if you're designing something, all the manufacturers of frames and everybody, this is like a very open community. So anybody who is as a startup, especially if you're doing something and putting something out there as a closed system, or you're not open to feedback, it's going to hurt you. And we have really come together as an FPV community and seen and time tested the most brilliant of the players in the most difficult situations. So they have adapted to all kinds of quad situations and everything. So it would be best for anybody to really take their important feedback. And my appeal really goes to the newcomers, Tarantula and Eagle Eye, and anybody else who is putting up the frame out there. Having said that,
Yeah, exactly, Karan. I mean, that's exactly why I think I said what I said because, like, I think one of the pilots did hit them up and said, you know what, who's testing your frame? Let us know at least. And they were like, we can't disclose this information. I mean, anybody who's testing out new frame will be excited to show off that fact that they are testing new frames. But that's just my 2 cents on this. And let's get on with the race because this is the final race. This counts for 3 points. And I think Devnath and Logic are on a very clear note to win this because they need to really destroy the kind of disadvantage the absence of Atos has put them into.
right, so this is the final round, guys, and let's see what happens at the count of less than 5. Going to be interesting last round, and I believe Vatsan and his boys are going to throw themselves all over. You can see Vatsan really quick on that takeoff, and he's going to go all guns, nothing hiding right now for Vatsan. It's an all shot in for him, but Devnath still managing to not let Vatsan, and Logic is really playing the very good wingman that he has been for his team. So very, very good competition there. Vatsan just not being able to break through the defenses of Logic even in the last round. He has to put himself in the last and final top gear out here right now because otherwise it's going to be too late. At least they can get about 3 points if they position at number 2. Flying Slayer still at lap number 1, proceeding very, very slowly, and Sanjay DS even back further. So Vatsan, as the leader, as he has been for the Pelicans, one final shot at this lap number 3 that's coming up in front of him. And wow, and he has really pushed it up. Look at that. And Vatsan, and he's a man of honor. And Logic has made a few mistakes out there that should really put Vatsan in a commanding position out there with Logic now 5 gates behind Vatsan. This is the first time that Logic has really been behind Vatsan for a very long time, but Logic really coming up from behind as well. This is a so close competition out here. Anybody's game it could be, and Vatsan finishes it. What a final affair of things. Vatsan takes his revenge against Logic right in round number 10. And the story ends with Vatsan picking up that 3 points for his team, at least at position number 2, while Devnath walks away with position number 5. Still, the difference is nearly the double one. 23:12 is what we finish up with. And Logic does not score, so does Sanjay DS and Flying Slayer. And that was a very, very good final one, Rati, from Vatsan. He really made his best happen.
I think that was actually a very good shocker because Watson had been losing to Logic and Logic taking it a little easy. I think kind of costed Logic quite a bit of time, and Watson did not hesitate to pounce in and just take that opportunity and be like, no, you know what, I'm taking this one. I have to take 3 points. I have to take some points for my team as a team captain, and he just went for it, and he got those points for his team, and I'm really happy that he did because this would have been a very clean sweep from ZDR if he had not stepped up, and Logic making a few mistakes, and because of which it did cost Logic the 3 points. But I don't think, at the grand scheme of things, they are really affected as such because we will be seeing that, sadly enough, as hard as a competition, the Pondicherry Pelicans did give to the team ZDR, they just fall short, and we will be seeing the last of these guys racing, because this is another knockout round.
Yep, very well played quarterfinals, and hats off to Team ZDR, and also very well played Pelicans. They fought until the last end, but just could not get through the very strong team that was against them in this first quarterfinal. So the quarterfinalists of the play number 2 that's coming up next Saturday will be playing against Team ZDR, and we will be seeing the semi-final berth happen as well. So do look up the schedule. We have posted it all across our social media. The positions will be updated as well. And as we do, can we now have some? Should we reply on the comments, or should we have the captains? That's your call, Rathi.
I mean, Kartikeya Nanda says Rathi would have defeated all of these flyers. No, man, I did not fly a sim. I would have had a very tough competition with Sanji DS. I think Sanji DS and me would have made quite the match, but I guess not. But I mean, like in the other this one, everyone's hyped about the upcoming online races, Asia Drone League, I think. And they are really excited about that. Oni FPV saying that he's waiting for his mini USB cable. I think that's kind of absurd, man. How have you been simming all this while? I think I really would want to know that in the comments. Sorry, the ADC track is what it's called.
So maybe you can just
And
brief those who are
as
not.
such, I think.
Maybe you can just talk about the ADL kind of a thing that's happening. It's new to quite a few people who are joining in, maybe.
I think the best person for this would actually be Devnath, because I really haven't followed up with ADL. I
Oh, I think, did we lose you? I think,
do not. A lot of priorities are here and there set right at the moment, so I don't want to be taking up things that are too big for me to chew. So I think we'll get the captains on here. First, we'll start with Watson, because Watson put up an amazing amount of strategy and game plan into going into this race, and it only working out for him at the end, which is the last race where he got 3 points for his team.
welcome, Vatsan. How are you?
Hi guys.
Well
Can you
played,
hear me?
Vatsan. Yes, we can hear you. Congratulations, nevertheless. Well played. How was your race night tonight, the quarterfinal?
I mean, we really tried our best, but then Devnath and Logic proved to be one of the best pilots in IDRL. So even with the loophole, I mean, they got us straight. They just got us thinking you are never gonna win.
I don't. I mean, that's not some sort of discouragement. I think like people will take away from the kind of strategy you had today and put their slowest person against the fastest person. I think this is the kind of approach Urta Punjab should have gone for with their team, where Urta Punjab could get the points in the later half, but I don't think that came through as such. I have one question to ask you. Like, it would have been really painful for you to go slower than Sanji. So, how did you do that? How did you do that? Because
I feel that I took the slowest card out there. I took TBS spec and then I was freestyling all along. I mean, you should ask Flying Slayer too. He was complaining all the time. Why should we do that?
I think, like, yeah, I mean, it worked out for the best. I think you guys did kind of kill it out there with the strategy. But yeah, I can't imagine how painfully slow it would have been for you guys to fly it. Because, like, you would have been like, I passed through this gate right now. You know what? I'm just going to go to the entire track, then come back to this gate and then do it again. Because that is exactly what your pace sees. And
I can't believe it, but it actually took us 2 tries to do it.
yeah, exactly what I was going to ask you guys. How many times did you try to go that slow and, like, you guys realize now you're just too fast for this?
Yeah, we took 2 tries. We just hosted up a server and then we were like, I'll finish first and Flying Slayer finished behind me. And then we took 2 tries doing it, and the second try we finally accomplished it.
I mean, that seems like a major accomplishment at the moment. That's a very good strategy you guys came with, and I think I had been saying this kind of a strategy would work for the benefit of teams, but no one had really been implying it, and then you guys came through excited. I was so happy to see that someone actually did do it, and it was super, super duper fun
I
to
mean,
watch.
when you're put against ZDR, your mind goes thinking. Definitely.
Yes, of course. But I would really commend this man. I think you came from pretty much being a beginner to drone racing or sim racing as such, and I think going up against the likes of ZDR, I think it's just a compliment to you guys. I think going up against Team ZDR is a thing on its own, and it's an achievement of its own. So, uh, what about the future? What are you planning next, and how are you going to plan on getting better?
Yeah, so we have put a lot of sim time lately, and we would like to do that again. So now that there are like great tracks out here, I mean the ADC and the ADC is up, and we want to try for that. So I think we'll really improve from in the sim racing soon enough.
That's really great to hear, man. I mean, Karan, what do you say about their performance and their growth rate and their increase in growth? Because it's been astounding for me.
Yeah, I mean, the Pelicans, I wasn't really expecting them. For me, when I first heard of them, okay, I was like, okay, they would get to a certain level. But having really made a very, very consistent performance, especially the games against TRV team, and the first match, I think they lost by a very small margin, but then the second one that they came out was really brilliant, and I could see Watson and Flying Slayer, both of them putting in that work. If you remember that track, the second one that they had against TRB, somewhere around the woods and the rocky area with the black gates and the tunnel sort of a train. That track, they had really put in all the work. They had practiced really well. So they do commit themselves to a lot of practice. That's a really, really good thing on part of the Pelicans. And I think they can go even further now if they can really get in that third player also going, because that third player has been a little weak. I mean, it's been at least a lap of a difference for Sanji DS to compete against the similar position of the other team. So that's going to be a concern. And also they can start developing other players from the Pondicherry team, and that way they can do quite a good thing for their thing. But again, I was really impressed by their strategy, and I saw at until 7:53, I think they had not put up any timing at all, and the deadline was 8 p.m. For those who did not quite get what the strategy and everything was, so we have a rule that all the players need to submit their leaderboard timing before 8 p.m. And what usually pilots do is that they do their best to put up the best timing they can, and then they leave it up to chance as to who goes against who. But this time, since it was a very good team that the Pelicans competed against ZDR, what Pelicans did is that they purposely set up a timing in place so that they waited until the last moment for all the timings to come in from the ZDR side, and then they ultimately put in their timings in such a way that it would be advantageous to them. But it really did not quite work out, although the plan was brilliant, I would say. But it only fetched them about 3 points, and luckily the other points were because of a failure that happened from the side of ZDR. But overall, very, very impressive in terms of strategy, in terms of growth. I have seen them really take off throughout this championship, and I would really love to see all of these players in the real world, and definitely wish them all the very best.
I would say the same. So, thank you guys. I mean, the Pondicherry Pelicans, you guys were amazing. You guys gave one hell of a show, especially with this loophole. I think it's to be commended about. I think I should be stopping. I should stop about. I should stop talking about the loophole because I can go on because it was there in my mind. I was like, okay. I need to. I need to see someone do it, and they actually did it. So I was pretty happy. It was like, it was wholesome, I would say. But okay, guys, thank you guys for talking to us, and we shall move on to the Team ZDR pilot, which is Devnath.
All right, let's bring him on out here. And there we are,
Um,
live with Devnath.
Stream if you guys have any questions. I mean, we are seeing the comment section. So let's see what you guys have to ask him as well. So Devnath, I wanted to ask you this: how much did it catch you off surprise that you had to compete with the slowest member of the Pelican, the Pondicherry Pelicans, which is Sanji DS?
Seems like the most obvious thing to do. I mean, they tried to, use their use the loophole as you mentioned to their advantage. But it wouldn't have really panned out because the time delta was huge, and if Logic was, I mean, if Vishal was here, it wouldn't have made a difference. And besides, in the finals, it doesn't really matter who you're competing against. It's just like top 1-2. So yeah, it could be used effectively against similarly timed teams. But yes, I appreciate the fact that they used it, albeit to not an advantage in the real race.
So, Devnath, how badly were you missing your other pilot, which is Air Toast?
We can go on about how incompetent he is. Like we have seen him in real life, and we have seen
Yes.
him in races as well. Yeah. So
So
not a problem.
you
But I
can
really
maybe
want to appreciate Pelicans because I just want to put in a word for Srivatsan because I had come into contact with him 2 months, I think 2 or 3 months prior, when he was just starting out at Sim, and now seeing that he is beat Logic in the finals, it's a true testament to how much the Pelicans have improved over these times. So yeah, props to them for sure.
That's amazing to hear. Karan, do you have any questions for Devnath? Because I
uh,
think the stream doesn't really have any questions for him. I think they're pretty much done with a character like Devnath
oh, they
because
wanted to actually officially
Devnath
know
is
what
just
they wanted.
annoying.
Yeah, the stream wanted to actually officially know what really happened to Air Toast. What was the real problem?
What happened to Airtos was this: it's been raining really heavily for the past 3 days at his place, and just as luck would have it, in the last few hours the lights went out, so he couldn't attend.
Also, Devnath, there's a very interesting question in the chat. Do you remember the last race you had?
The last race I had
Yes.
versus
No, sorry.
last
Uh,
race I was
do you
commenting
remember the
in,
last?
or
No, do you remember the last race that Oni FPV was a part of? I think now you know where
yeah,
I'm going with.
and if he's asking about batteries, he can pick it up from DTDC in Delhi. They have my batteries since the past 3 months. So when they release it, I'll send it straight to
So
him.
only you heard it here first. I think you just need to take a trip down to Delhi and get your battery. But I think if you are doing so much of trouble for Devnath, I think Devnath is ready to sponsor your travel as well. Isn't that right, Devnath?
No, no. That is
Oh, I
this is
heard a
really
yes. Only you just heard a yes from him. I can confirm that he said yes, he will cover your travel charges if you come to Delhi and get his lipos out of the DTTC in Delhi. So there we have it. I think Oni will get a battery, a 6S battery from Devnath pretty soon, and Oni FEV will be getting a free trip to Gurgaon or Delhi, I would say. All in the sponsor of Devnath. Just because Oni FEV beat the Hyderabad Hellraisers #1 pilot, which is Aman Virani, or the team captain. So Devnath, what do you have to say about this?
yeah, I mean, come down, man. We'll fly together. Nobody's, I mean, really flying in Noida as of right now because of the lockdown. But yeah, slow community is starting to ramp up in Delhi as well. So
All
yeah.
right, that's amazing to hear. Karan, do you have any questions
Yeah,
for Devnath?
yeah, the last one. I think a lot of folks and myself. What's up with ADL? What's going to happen? How are you guys preparing for that?
So it's ADC now ADL, and yeah, it's been renamed to ADC. It's a separate competition from ADL, and it's happening virtually. So they have the race on the 19th of September, and the track has been open for all. So there's a huge time window for people to put in their times. Everyone, beginners, intermediate, pro, and the top 22 gets to compete in the finals on the 19th of September. So I really encourage everyone in the drone racing community in India to open the track, just download the track and put their times in, because you'll be competing on a really large stage. So you can gauge yourself, where you're really at.
Okay, one more question, Devnath. So, who do you think will be, I mean, at least the Indian pilots, who do you think have a very good shot at getting into the top 22, apart from yourself and Aman, of course?
Apart from me and Aman, Oni FPV for sure. Like it's almost a given. If he puts in efforts, for sure make it to the top 22. And Bangos as well. So Oni FPV and Bangos are my two candidates as of now. But again, since this is an international, I mean, this is an open competition, it's really hard to say even if me and Binani will make it into the top. So
Um,
as it stands,
okay, fine. Given that the fact that I mean, me and you both have gone to one international race in our life. Um, So, what do you think is the kind of impact? I mean, what do you think you should be most afraid of? I think which country rather, because I think we both know which
yeah,
country is
yeah,
going to be the deadliest for this kind of race because
yeah.
we saw them pretty much sweep up the entire, like, I mean, the entire racetrack, like it was just like a walk in the park.
Yeah, so like country-wise, as you mentioned, South Koreans for sure. I mean, starting with Min Chan Kim, Sung Jung Park, they're all they have a very intimidating effect on the rest of the lineup, right? So you see them flying without fear and just going through the gates with absolutely no fear of loss of control and such. It really gets to you. And apart from that, like country-wise, I think the only guy from Indonesia that's really deadly is Kendrick. Obviously, he came fourth in ADL if I'm not wrong, and he is a really fast kid.
Kendrick came second in ADL. Kendrick, I think that was one of the best finishes I've ever seen to a race. I think
Yeah,
he
yeah.
was just millimeters apart from the guy who was second, and he just went full throttle. And at the finish line, he just smashed into the ground, kicking in a lot of dirt on his drone. But like that was one of the best finishes that I've ever seen. And I think he's what, just 12 or 13 years old.
13, and he's like really kicking up a lot of dust in the sim racing community as of right now. He has started organizing races. He's in the Velocidrone team right now, owing to his performance in sim racing. So yeah, he's going places for sure in the drone racing community.
That's amazing to hear, Devnath. So again, your competition is mostly going to be Kendrick, Min Chan Kim, Sung
No,
Joo
no,
Park,
no.
and all these
We
people.
wouldn't, we wouldn't,
Uh,
we wouldn't place ourselves anywhere near them. But
uh,
yeah,
Come on,
somewhere in
man,
the
give yourselves a little faith. But I think you are going to be simming a lot less now because of the recent activities. I mean, the recent priority changes even you've had. Um, so I think we'll just stop interviewing right there. I think
yeah.
we shall save the rest of these things for another podcast, which we might or might not film. So yeah,
Yeah.
that is that. Karan, any closing words you have for us?
No, it's a perfect combination. I think I'll see you guys at the Chai and Props, the opener, whenever you host it, and looking forward to that one. Hope you guys don't just talk amongst yourself. But Rati, by the way, I see a little bit of a. Is that a fixed wing that you're building behind you?
Uh oh, yeah. That
Wow, you
that
can show
that
that to
right
the
there is my
audience. Yeah.
Sky Surfer.
Yeah.
So, uh, I've been meaning to fly it. I also have. I mean, again, my plot is pretty much overgrown with a lot of weeds and all sorts. So I have to get the place cleared out before I can actually start racing again. And I didn't have propellers. And I just got the propellers like a week back. So hopefully I shall be getting back into racing. But at the meantime, I was working on this behemoth. It's pretty much ready to fly. I just gotta go mate once. Like, it's a big enough plane. I don't know how to fly a plane. Okay,
Or you
so
can just bring it
I
closer so that the people can see it.
yeah. 1 second, yeah. You know what? I'll just get you guys a better wing. I have a pop wing which is here, and it looks even better. So,
All right, so we'll wait for Rati. He's showing us a few aircrafts that he has built. Look at that.
so this is my pop wing. I would say mine right now because Martin pretty much gave up his ownership. Martin, another brilliant pilot from FEV Drone Racing India. He pretty much customized the entire thing. Few things here and there, like the strap and all sorts. And it's pretty much ready to race once I finish building it up. But I'm not confident enough on the wing, and exactly why I am using my very, very, very old and unflown Sky Surfer V3. Hopefully, it sees the air. Last time I flew a wing, it did not go well. I had some other Ishin wing that was like really trash, and yeah. I mean, the FPV experience is also very bad. And, like, it's just generally not a good flying wing. So I would just like throw that somewhere else. And I mean, I threw it pretty much somewhere else. So I just want to get a little confident on flying wings, and exactly why I have a Sky Surfer and a Pop Wing, and that's exactly what I hope to do at least by this year end.
Fantastic. So that's where we are, and wonderful insights into Rathi. A very good conversation with Devnath, the winning captain of tonight's game, and they did a fantastic run tonight, ultimately ending at 23 is to 12. And congratulations to the Pelicans also, ZDR and Captain Devnath and Logic and Air Toast. We will see you in the semi-final draw, and that will be announced later on. But for the night, let's have a closing call out here, and wishing you guys again a very happy and Independence Day towards the end. And let's hope that a very good year comes ahead for all of you, and we are out in the real world once again. So meanwhile, for now, it's all over from tonight's race. We wish you all the best and a good night, and closing it out from Rathi's Bangalore, and also from here in Mumbai and the IDRL Theatre. Uh, and all the best and sleep well. Bye bye.
Bye bye.